You know the drill, right? New Year's resolution. You go all in for a couple of weeks and then poof, it all just fizzles out. It happens to the best of us, and it's probably because we've all been taught to think about discipline in completely the wrong way. But what if there was another way? A framework that builds real, lasting change, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Today, we're going to dig into a fresh approach that reframes discipline not as something you do, but as something you are. All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to kick things off by talking about the willpower trap that so many of us fall into. Then we'll get into the real meat of it, this idea of discipline as an identity. From there, we'll see exactly how to build that identity with something called a deep life, and then how to scale it up with a monthly overhaul, all leading to the grand finale, unlocking those big, meaningful goals. Okay, so first things first, let's diagnose the problem, what we're calling the willpower trap. This is that all too familiar feeling that if you just grit your teeth and just try harder, you'll magically become more disciplined. But let's be honest, how often has that actually worked? It's a losing game, and it's time we understood why. And Cal Newport just hits the nail on the head here. He calls it the white knuckle approach. We just pick some massive, ambitious goal out of thin air, I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to get a six-pack, with no real foundation under us. We try to force it to happen with sheer will, and it's just exhausting. It's totally unsustainable, and it almost always ends in burnout. So what we're really looking at here are two completely different games. On one hand, you have the willpower approach. It's ad hoc, it's inconsistent, and it's all focused on that one big, shiny goal. But the identity approach, that's a different beast entirely. It's foundational, it's systematic, and most importantly, it shifts the focus from what you do to who you are. And that brings us right to the core idea of this whole framework, the big one, treating discipline as an identity. This is the fundamental shift that, honestly, changes everything. Okay, this right here, this is the aha moment. The whole game changes when you stop trying to act disciplined and instead you start the work of being a disciplined person. When you build that core belief, that identity, your actions just start to align with it naturally. They become an expression of who you are, not some awful chore you have to force yourself to do. Okay, but how, right? You can't just wake up, look in the mirror, and say, I am a disciplined person, and expect it to stick. Your brain is smarter than that. It needs proof. You need to build a case file for yourself. You need consistent behavioral evidence that tells your brain, see, this is real, this is who we are now. And the rest of the system, it's designed to do exactly that. So that's the million-dollar question. How do we build this identity? Well, it all starts from the ground up. We start with the daily foundation, what Cal Newport calls building a deep life. This is the practical, brick-by-brick work of constructing your new self. First, we need a map. What are the big, important areas of your life? This framework gives us a fantastic starting point with these 4 buckets. You've got craft, that's your work and your skills. Constitution, your health, both physical and mental. Community, your relationships. And contemplation, your inner life, your values. It's a great structure for a well-rounded life. And the process for getting started is, honestly, beautifully simple. For each of those buckets, you just pick one small, meaningful keystone habit to do every single day, and then, this is the crucial part, you track it. You put a check mark in a planner, you don't break the chain. Every single check mark is like casting a vote for your new identity. You're literally building momentum with evidence. And here are some fantastic examples of what these habits could look like. Newport calls them tractable, which is a great word. It just means they're doable, right? They're not trivial, but they're not going to overwhelm you either. Doing 10 burpees isn't a full workout, but it's undeniable proof that you're a person who cares about their health. Writing 250 words doesn't finish your novel today, but it proves without a doubt that you're a writer. Okay, so once you've got that daily rhythm going, once those keystone habits start to feel natural, we can level up. We add the next layer, the monthly overhaul system. This is how we go from these small daily wins to deep, profound transformation.
And the idea here is all about focus. Instead of trying to improve everything all at once, which is just a recipe for chaos, you dedicate a block of time, say 1 or 2 months, to go deep on just one of those life buckets. You pour your energy into making a substantial upgrade in that one area before you even think about moving on to the next.
So what does that actually look like? Well, a 6-month plan could be something like this. For 2 months, you execute a constitution overhaul. Maybe you train for a specific rowing goal. Then, the next 2 months, you pivot to a craft overhaul, maybe launching a side project. See how that works? It's structured, it's systematic, and it creates major change without the overwhelm. So, what are you actually doing during one of these overhauls? It's way more than just that little daily keystone habit. This is your time to really experiment with new routines. It's when you set a real, tangible challenge for yourself and you seriously invest in upgrading your skills or systems in that one area. This is how you make those big leaps forward. And all of this identity work, these systems, it brings us right back to the beginning. It brings us to the payoff. What is it all for? It's for finally and effectively being able to take on those big, ambitious goals that really matter to you. Because once this system is up and running, look what happens. That disciplined identity, it's embedded. It's just who you are. The habits start becoming automatic. And suddenly, you find that you're ready. You have the foundation to tackle those huge goals, not with that old white-knuckle struggle, but because it feels like the next logical step for the person you've become.
But, and this is a really important but, there's one final critical piece to this whole thing. Even if you become the most disciplined person on the planet, the goal itself has to pass the common sense test. Your own mind has to look at the plan and say, yeah, okay, I buy that. This is logical. This is trustworthy. If the goal itself is absurd, even your new disciplined identity will reject it.
And this right here, this is a massive mindset shift. It's a total game changer. Because now, if you try for a big goal and you fail, your first thought isn't, I'm just lazy, I'm not disciplined enough. No. Instead, you get to be a detective. You diagnose the goal. You ask, was this a well-conceived plan? It protects your hard-won identity and turns failure into a strategic lesson, not a personal flaw. And that really brings us to the heart of it all. This entire journey we've just mapped out, it doesn't begin with some massive, intimidating life overhaul. It starts with one small, tractable action. So the question to leave you with is this. What is one keystone habit, just one, that you could start tomorrow to begin casting that very first vote for the person you want to become?